Nergigante is known as the extinction dragon, with its name deriving from the words Nergal, the Mesopotamian god of death, and
Gigante.
literally meaning giant. This alone paints a picture of what this monster is all about. But does it really? With a slight change in perspective, let me try and change your mind about this anti-hero. First things first, let's establish some groundwork so that everything makes sense later on. As you may already know from the story of Base World, Nergigante targets Elder Dragons and pursues them relentlessly until it gets the job done, even if that means inflicting damage to itself in the process, and we'll look into that in more detail later on. It's said that Nergi was extremely rarely sighted, however the increased occurrence of Elder Crossings, an event where Elder Dragons travel to the New World to die, caused Nergigante to emerge more frequently. The reason provided as to why Nergi specifically targets Elder Dragons is for their high levels of bioenergy that regular monsters aren't capable of generating. This simple fact is the basis for a lot of theorizing. It's very easy to view this as Nergigante just likes it. One source on a wiki states it's a delicacy for the monster, and this might be true. At least it may be the innate biological factor that steers Nergi towards its objective. So, as you'll know from fighting Nergi, he constantly regenerates the spikes on its body. Its cells multiply to create a spike, the spike then hardens when exposed to the air, and when the spikes become too heavy, Nergi will break them off himself to maintain mobility. The more it repeats this cycle, the more efficient it becomes at doing it, essentially becoming stronger the longer a fight goes on. Here's an interesting fact brought to my attention by a member of our Discord community, Eisen. It's cited in an official Capcom source that Nergi takes regeneration to the next level. The guild observed one of its broken spikes to have developed egg cells when it was provided nutrition. What this means is that Nergi's spikes can feed on the bioenergy it consumes from other elders, and by consuming enough energy, Nergi can reproduce asexually, meaning without needing a mate. So even down to the dragon's core, it needs to hunt down these elder dragons to keep its species alive. Kind of like how you can hit the subscribe button to keep my channel alive. I mentioned earlier on that Nergi is known as the extinction dragon, a fitting name for the monster that pursues its prey no matter the cost. I think because of its surface level appearance and behaviour, it's really easy to view the dragon in a negative way. However, is Nergi called the extinction dragon because it causes extinction or because it prevents it? As I'm writing this script, I'm now thinking there's a third option. What if the extinction dragon is known as such because if they stop fighting, Nergigante itself would become extinct? And now look, technically you can apply that to all monsters, but you get the point. Anyway, we first encounter Nergi in Monster Hunter World on Zorah Magdaros' back. I'm sure you know this all too well. This could be a lore video in itself, but I'm going to use the information here as it's incredibly relevant. Instead of heading to the Rotting Vale to die, where its energy would have naturally returned to the world safely, instead Zorah was travelling to die in the Everstream, which would have caused an explosion so great that the whole new world would have been destroyed. Naturally, we, the hunters, attempt to push Zorah back out to sea to prevent this from happening, but Nergi also turns up to the scene. I've came up with 3 perspectives to view the cause of this appearance. A. Nergigante was trying to take down Zorah to prevent it from blowing up and causing mass extinction in the new world. B. Nergigante was defending Zorah from the hunters so that it could reach the Everstream and blow up to cause extinction. But theory C gets a bit more complicated. What if theory B is correct in that Nergigante wanted Zorah to blow up? However, what if it wanted to do so in order to protect the rest of the world? As we now know in hindsight, an incredibly dangerous monster that could potentially rival Fatalis if given enough time was slumbering in the new world and luring Zorah in. And there wasn't only one Xenojiva. We know for sure another survived as it later grew into the Safijiva we fought in Iceborne. But that's not to say there isn't even more out there to this day. Xeno was also the cause of the increased Elder Crossing event, as it did have the ability to lure in other Elder Dragons. Surely this includes Nergi. Nergi would have been aware of Xeno's presence and would seek to put an end to it. Maybe I'm giving way too much credit to what, bluntly speaking, might just be a hungry dragon. However, balance is an immensely key theme to the Monster Hunter series. Likewise, its name deriving from the god of death holds significance in my opinion. In almost all cultures, the god of death maintains the balance of souls to speak. They don't mindlessly take lives off as many people as possible. Their responsibility is to keep death in order. I believe Nergigante is nature's ultimate response to the imbalances brought about by Xeno and Safijiva, and this is pretty much confirmed later on in Iceborne. And real quick, if you haven't played World or Iceborne, or even Rise and Sunbreak for that matter, There's currently an offer running over at Fanatical until the 26th of January where you can grab any of these games and expansions as part of a bundle for a very low price. By using the link in the description, you'll be directly supporting the channel, which I'd be super grateful for. You can also pre-order Monster Hunter Wilds there for a market-leading 18% discount. I'll also leave this linked in the description. It's a great way for you to get your hands on a game if you haven't already. But okay, back to Nergi. If you watched my previous lore video on Zorah Ishvalda, you'll know that Nergigante turns up to teach us this very fact of balance. However, this time around, it's a variant monster known as Ruiner Negigante. My question is this really another species of Elder Dragon, or is it more of an evolution? As discussed earlier on, we know Nergi to become more effective at producing its spikes after each cycle. If done enough times, does a regular Nergi become a Ruiner? Or could a Ruiner be born from a regular Nergigante spikes that has consumed much higher concentrations of energy? To me, both theories make a lot of sense. This is because both points infer that there's an increased level of fighting going on, or fighting against more threatening creatures. Nature's will would be to spit out a stronger Nergi to combat such circumstance. And more importantly, if these theories are true, could we see an even stronger variant in the future? In any case, after thinking we took down Ruiner, he gets back up at the end of our Zorah fight to take the Everworm down for good. It's interesting to note that it doesn't attempt to consume any part of Zorah, not even a chunk of it. I mean, let's be honest, it's fair to assume that this is simply because us hunters were present, but from a writing perspective, this short moment teaches us a valuable lesson. Nergigante's role in this whole thing is just to play its part in the food chain.
Go figure. Just another link in the food chain.
Dangerous monsters like Zorah may exist, but nature's will always finds a way to keep the balance. By all means, even Nergi's fighting style proves its inclination for balance. It sacrifices pieces of itself to fight. It takes life to provide life, and in losing its own life to the hunters, it teaches us valuable lessons that enables us to take down larger threats beyond it. This may sound counterintuitive to all the prior discussion, but the reality is the reason as to why we observe Nergi doing anything that he does, frankly speaking, is irrelevant. The point being is that regardless of its motivations, the action it carries out saves the Monster Hunter universe from peril. It raises the question as to whether or not we the hunters are in the right for hunting them down. And maybe this very question is why we show no intention of pursuing the Ruiner that ended Zorah. It definitely gained our respect and acknowledgement for the work it does. And when you really look at it, aren't we no different from Nergi? We pursue our targets as far as needed and don't pause our efforts until we take them down. We make sacrifices in the process, but come back stronger. And much like Nergi's spikes, when parts of us break off from the group, it gives rise to a new generation of hunters. Too philosophical? Yeah, maybe I'm just waffling, but in any case, this cover monster really taught 5th generation hunters such as myself the true meaning of being a hunter. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider watching the Zorah lore video on screen now, and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.